Okay, question.
Okay, questions.
You said spin, right?
Yes, sir.
It's not gripping with stall, right? You also mentioned you have to apply rudder to enter a spin, correct?
Yes.
If I stall the aircraft enough, will the aircraft automatically enter a spin, yes or no?
Well, that's because we're practicing a maneuver at this point. We're going to have to put it into a spin. But also, you know, let's say we're flying, you enter a cloud, or you're flying and you're not paying attention, or you're turning base to final and you're not paying attention, and you exceed the critical level of attack, you are in a turn, the airplane will eventually, if you exceed the critical level of attack and you're in the bank, the wing will stall and then might enter a spin as well. That's another. There's various types of ways we can get into spins. Once it's turning into base, and you're not paying attention and you're increasing pitch and you have power to idle, then you can get into a spin because you're banking at the same time. And
another question.
Yes, sir.
Another question is in a spin, right?
Yes.
You said you apply rudder to enter the spin that you want to go into. So if you want to go into a right spin, you apply right rudder, right?
Yes.
Now, as I was taught before, in a stall, you do opposite rudder to the wing drop, correct?
Excuse me?
In a stall, you
Yes.
do opposite rudder to whichever side the wing drops, right? So let's say I'm climbing, the left wing drops, and I step on the right rudder.
Yes.
Would I end the spin, or would I just coordinate the aircraft back to level flight?
You will That's a good question. Let's say you are banking to the left, and in order to spin, it doesn't take just a little bit of rudder. You must be really stalled, and if the plane initiates a stall to the left, is that what you're asking?
Yes.
Because if it's initiating to the left, then the spin might enter to the left. It can be in either direction.
What if I want to enter a right spin?
What if you want to enter right spin?
You said apply rudder
Yes.
to the direction of spin required, or you need.
Well, we usually say if we're going to do a left one or a right one.
Yeah, so let's say I'm going to enter a right spin.
Yes.
You just finished the left one, we're going to enter a right spin. I stall the aircraft and the left wing dropped. I step on the right rudder, which is opposite rudder to the wing drop, and instead of the aircraft entering a spin, it eventually corrects itself because that's a correction maneuver for a stall, and flies straight to level again. So it doesn't go into a spin. So is it necessary to bank the wings to the right or left or something to enter that right spin if the left wing drops?
That's a good question, and I really don't want to guess on it too much. So I will probably need some help.
The answer?
I would say the airplane backs to the left. If you add right rudder, it's going to counterfeit it and make it go to the right eventually. That would be my guess. That let's say you're getting into the left, you enter right, you correct it, but then you correct it. But if you continue on the right and you're still conditioned, eventually you're going to start going to the right.
No. The problem is when you want to spin the aircraft, you have to stall it aggressively.
Okay.
If you stall it, just stall it slowly, it doesn't go to spin.
Okay.
It's very unusual. It depends the aircraft all the time, but you have to stall it like this. Sharply. From my experience, I did some spins with the and you have to keep it. You have to keep the wing horizontal.
Yeah.
And then you have to apply the rudder. Once you stall, you have to apply the rudder.
Stall apply.
So if you actually lower one wing, I think it's not gonna be in spin. At the opposite direction.
If you drop one wing and you add opposite rudder, you're gonna get that wing up. Remember,
That's what I said.
the wing is stalled. That's why it dropped. Okay? But don't forget, the rudder is in the back. That's yaw. Even though you're stalled and there's no lift and the nose drop, the wing and the nose with it, you still have airflow over the tail, and the rudder is there. As long as there's airflow, you'll still be able to yaw. That's why the rudder is always effective last, after the ailerons are already.
Yeah, because the wind is still going up.
Okay, so what's going to happen, the wing drop, you're going to compensate for that, and you're going to be able to get that yaw back and get that wing back.
That's what I said to David, right?
However, if you have too much left rudder, now you get into a position where the left wing's going to drop. So you got to be able to, you know, control the rudder as necessary to maintain wings level. And you can, with full back stick, you can keep the wings level. As long as you stay on the rudder as necessary, you can keep the wings level. It will not enter a spin as long as you're staying coordinated. Be able to.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
that answers the question.
So even the one wing is lower, you can enter
you
the
can
spin
get you
at
can
the opposite direction.
if
Yes.
you have too much rudder to the opposite, it will go into the left.
So it depends on how much is
How
the,
much rudder you
is
have.
effective.
How much rudder you have? Yeah.
That's the way I said it, right, to David? Yeah. I said that if you keep it, you can correct, but if you continue, it's
Too much, it'll go the opposite
Yeah.
direction.
Okay. No problem.
Absolutely. Because remember, even if you're below stall speed for the wing, and I'm talking about relative wind over the wings, the rudder is still effective. I mean, you know it when you're landing.
Yeah, you always.
At 20 miles an hour, you're still getting rudder control because of the airflow.
Well, he taxi.
Yeah, but the ailerons,
Yeah, the ailerons.
if the wings are stalled,
They're not good.
you're aggravating.
Yeah, but if you have a little bit speed and you lower one wing, then this wing has a bigger angle of attack. So maybe it doesn't actually, it's going to stall, but it's not going to enter the spin.
It
in
is
order,
true.
In order to get in a spin, you have to have almost zero.
Zero. He is correct.
The
because
stall has to be aggressive
And
and
a
in
spin-
coordination, in combination with the application of the rudder,
Correct.
it's going to enter the spin.
But remember, on a spin, both wings are stalled.
But the other
But
one's
why is it
producing-
rotating?
Is the one the ascending wing is producing some lift.
Very good.
Or
One
is
is
it?
more
Huh?
stalled
Yes.
than
One
the
is
other.
more stalled
Yeah.
than the other.
One
more
is
stalled
more
than
stalled
the
than the
other.
other.
No, that's
That's
what
why
it
you
is.
have
That's the
rotation.
question of
One
the
is more stalled than
the,
the
F,
other.
That's
the
right.
FA test was saying producing some lift.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's some, not a lot, but some is
The
producing.
reason why you're rotating is because
One is more
one is
stalled.
less stalled than the other.
Okay.
The one that's less stalled probably gives you a little bit more lift, and that's why you're rotating that direction
Okay.
because of that lift.
Okay,
I mean, obviously.
that's right.
But they do not explain why, how is the angle of attack. I don't actually understand how the angle of attack is with the relative wind during a spin. How is the angle of attack
How's the what?
of
which?
every wing? The lower wing and the up wing. I tried to find it, but I don't understand. I don't know if you have an idea.
What's your question?
It says that the angle of attack is different.
By which?
It's different, okay? Of
Yeah, 'cause you're
the left
rotating,
and the
yeah.
right wing.
Yeah, it's rotating, of course. That was back to one wing
Compared
stalled more than the
to
other.
the
So,
relative wind.
so the one that's
Where is the relative wind comes from? This
the
way?
one that's less stalled has less angle of attack.
Because you're not
The
exceeding
inside, the
The
inside,
outside.
The outside.
the outside has
Yes.
less angle of attack.
You didn't exceed the angle of attack.
Mihalis, look at this. You're getting into a stall, right? And you're getting into a right spin. The left, you're getting, the wing is stalling, so that's not producing lift, so it's going down. But this one is less stalled and it's producing more lift. And because this one is stalling, there's no airflow going. So this one is more stalled than the other. That's why the ascending wing is having a less low of attack, angle of attack. Because what do we need for a plane to stall? Exceed the critical angle of attack. So we're exceeding the critical angle of attack of the inner wing. That's why the wing drops. If that's
Correct.
right. That's
The
right.
inside wing exceeded the angle of attack, while the outside wing still has
exactly.
a little bit. It's exceeded, but it's not as bad, and that's why you have the rotation.
How? If it's like this, how? What is the angle of attack?
Because of the airflow, the way the airplane is
So the
rotating.
relative wind is like this, like this, like
Well,
this.
It can be any,
the,
it can be.
the airplane is like this, 45-degree nose down.
Okay.
So it's going downward at the same time as it's spinning.
Yes.
So the relative wing is coming from below too.
Like this.
Yeah, at a 45-degree angle as you're coming down, because your path is straight down. The path, but the airplane is not like this straight down.
Yeah.
The airplane is more 45
like
degree.
Let's say it's like
45
this.
degree pitch.
Just
yeah,
like
yeah.
Okay, like this.
Yeah.
Where is the angle of attack?
Angle of attack or relative wind?
Relative wind is like this.
Yeah, coming from down. Yeah.
So this is the angle of attack here, and here is negative. What?
This wing is less stalled than this one, and that's why it's rotating that direction. This is a left spin.
You see, the
Basically-
difficulty is to see that in.
It's hard to explain. Yeah, three dimensions. Yeah, three dimensions. It's really hard to explain exactly where the relative
Just
wind because
the relative wind, I don't know what it is. I can explain it that the stall happens on when you exceed the critical level of attack. That's the key word for me.
No,
So,
it's very difficult to explain. I try to understand from the books, but I'm not satisfied 100% to be honest from the books.
it's not
Maybe-
it's a little bit too complicated to
Yeah, it's-
explain. Why go there?
Complicated, yes.
Yeah, why go there?
And another question.
yes,
You said when you're entering a spin, right?
Mhm.
We need idle pole, right?
yes.
Okay, what
We need
about
what? We need-
idle pole?
Well, it can happen also on a power on stall too.
Okay,
If you
what
see
are the
the-
procedures to recover from a spin?
from a spin,
Yes.
first thing you cut the power to idle.
Then,
If you haven't done so, then neutralize the ailerons. The ailerons, because you don't want to touch the ailerons at this point. Because even if you, let's say you go to the right spin,
Hmm.
you enter a left aileron, it's not going to do nothing because there's no space airflow. So you neutralize the ailerons,
okay,
then add opposite rudder of the spin,
okay,
and then
uh-huh,
because remember you're doing the corkscrew, you're going to a 45 spinning down.
okay,
You get to the point. This is the stall. This
Okay.
is the spin. The spin. Plane going down.
mhm,
Neutralize the ailerons.
mhm,
Add opposite rudder.
Mhm.
Stop the spin.
mhm,
Apply back pressure, nice and gentle, to
okay.
No, after
To
the
cut-
application
to-
of the ladder, you have to push.
push forward. Sorry, to push forward,
Yeah.
and then get the airspeed up, and then
Okay.
go back.
To break the
I
stall.
did
Break the
some
stall.
spin trainings about 2 years ago.
Yes.
And when I did spin training, the procedure that I remembered was this: power to idle,
Mhm.
neutral stick,
Neutral stick, yeah.
opposite rudder to spin,
Break the
forward
stall.
elevator,
Break the stall.
Full
Where-
forward.
That's
forward
what.
elevator to break the stall,
And then
wait on your speed to build up,
Mhm.
your speed rate, your speed per altitude.
Mhm.
Then when your speed is past stall speed,
then you
apply
can push.
drop pressure gradually, not abruptly, recover, and apply power as necessary to maintain cruise flight.
Mhm.
Is that right or
Yes,
is that wrong?
that's right. That's what I wanted to say. I'm sorry. I meant after you cut the neutralize the ailerons, opposite rudder,
Okay.
break the stall,
Uh-huh.
then apply whatever you just explained this way.
Okay.
It's, this
Another question. This
Yes.
may sound stupid, it might sound very technical, but bear with me, right?
Mhm.
The new aircrafts that I see, especially Jets 2, I see we're in the inner wing stalls before the outer wing. Now, you were mentioning something about angle of attack.
Yes.
Now, on the Cirrus specifically,
Mhm.
and the Cessna 400, the angle of attack of the outer wing is 2 degrees lower than the angle of attack of the inner wing.
Mhm.
Now, the angle of attack determines the stall speed, correct? The stall, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when I'm in a full stall in those aircrafts, like airliners, Cirrus, the 6, the
Mhm.
Columbia 400, is the wing fully stalled?
This is beyond my experience with the technical of the
You
aircraft.
mentioned that the outer wing has 2 degrees difference in the angle of attack?
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with this.
How do you define outer wing? I mean, you got 2 wings on the airplane. Which one is outer? Which one is in?
The wing.
Are you spinning, or
No.
you're just straight and level and there's inner and outer?
It's straight on level.
Okay.
This is the wing of the aircraft. The inner part of the wing, the 50% of the left wing.
Oh, okay. The inner.
Yes.
Okay, got
Oh,
it.
now I understand. Okay.
Because when he was
Well,
asking
why
the
did I-
question,
Yeah.
I felt like the outer wing
That's-
is
I-
here,
I-
the
I-
inner is here.
Yeah.
But he's talking that you slice the wing in
In half.
half.
Like the 737.
Outer side, our outer half, and then inward side, towards the fuselage, inward and outward.
Yeah.
That's what you meant.
Yeah.
Okay.
I understand. I was.
So the angle of attack varies
It's like
on
the-
each
yeah.
wing.
Yes.
I'm not
I
familiar with.
didn't understand.
Too
sorry.
complicated of a question.
I-
Well, if he wants to ask, if this is the fuselage and this is like the propeller, I mean, this is a little.
You're spinning, you're doing what?
But this is, no, straight on level flight.
Straight and level.
Okay, but over here you slice the wing in a different angle.
Yeah.
Okay, so this side, this part
That's
is
different
inner,
angle of attack.
and this is outer. On each wing, in, out.
Ah, okay.
So when you're looking from here, the guy is here standing and looking this way, you can see one wing is like this and the other one is like this.
Yeah.
Does that explain it?
Yes.
Is that what you
Yes.
meant?
Yes.
The angle of attack is different from in and
Yes.
out.
Yes.
Okay, so that's what he meant. Like when you're looking at the section of the wing from here, that's how it,
Yes.
the dash line is one side, which is here,
The inner.
and then the outer is like this.
Yeah.
Does that explain
Yeah.
what he,
So-
the question?
So what was the question?
When you're in a stall in that aircraft, right? Is the wing fully stalled? Because the inner wing stalls before the outer wing. You understand? Because of the angle of attack. Because the angle of attack of the wing determines the stall. So the inner wing stalls before the outer wing. So when we're in a stall, right? The aircraft is stalled. Is the wing fully stalled? Or is only 50% of both wings stalled and 50% still generating lift? But not sufficient amount of lift to maintain straight on the flight. Technical, right?
Why did they design it like that?
For air and control in the stall.
Oh, so when you stall, you
Because
still have
yeah,
roll control effectiveness. Now, those aircraft are not approved for spin, right?
No.
Spins are prohibited.
yeah,
So it's beyond my.
it's built idiot proof. Basically, the first thing a student do, one common error student do, when he enters a stall and the wing drops, you push the aileron instead of step on the rudder.
Yeah.
So they build it this way that if you push the aileron, you have somewhat the aileron
A
effectiveness.
little bit of effect.
So it pushes you back into
Okay.
straight on level, and then you can.
That means the outer side
Yeah.
is not as stalled,
No.
so you're still getting
Yeah.
aileron control.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
David, the stall starts from the inner to the outer.
Yes.
Yeah,
And the same thing with the jets.
Yeah. I think a Cherokee is the same way. The
Uh,
dihedral is
the
built,
dihedral helps a little bit. but
yeah, with
it's not
aileron
much.
effectiveness. Yeah.
Because it's very hard. You cannot. It's very hard to spin.
Why Piper is not approved for spin?
Because it has a stability.
He's the instructor.
Yeah.
You're the
Yeah.
student.
The Piper. Why the Piper is not approved for
Yeah.
spins?
Yeah.
Because the wings. I'm not sure. We were speaking about last call. I know Piper is not approved for spins, and the test pilot was not feeling
If it
very.
is utility category, it's not approved for spin.
Even
This is what I know. Okay, when the feds test
that's
On
what's
the
in the test pilot.
certification.
That's what-
certification, in order to have a standard category aircraft, it has to go through FAA certification. Okay, that means a test pilot from the feds tests the aircraft. Unlike experimental, that's not tested. It doesn't have to go through the whole FAA
Mhm.
certification to be standard category. That's why it's experimental. So that aircraft, when it goes to the certification, in order to be approved for spins, it has to go to like 6, 7 spins and be able to recover. If it doesn't, it's not approved for spins.
Recover
After numerous.
alone.
Yeah, numerous. Like, boom, 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 boom. The test pilot just lets go of the control. And the aircraft goes,
Back to.
dun, 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 and then out of a sudden just recovers by itself and then enters a dive. That's approved for spin.
That's okay.
152, 172 utility
If it
category,
recovers
aerobatic, recovers by itself. You
by
just
itself,
let go of the
it's
control.
approved.
Correct.
If it doesn't recover,
Then it's not approved for
so
spin.
what happened with Piper, with those aircraft?
You have to actually recover. You actually have to neutralize the aileron. You have to add opposite.
They never
rudder.
recover itself?
It doesn't recover by itself.
Oh, that's why it's not approved. Even in the utility
Doesn't
category.
matter. If it doesn't recover by itself, it's not approved for spin.
The test pilot, he did not like it, I heard. The Piper. The test pilot did not like that it was not recovering.
Yeah, you know, it's not approved for spin. I mean, you
Plus-
you can spin Piper, but you know,
Nah.
They have to
it's not
recover
as
itself.
friendly as a Cessna or any other approved spin because, you know, I mean, you'll see. We go up there, it's going to be like easy.
Yeah.
Plus the Piper,
Not even scary.
what I see, all the aircraft that I see that are approved for spin use an elevator. The Piper doesn't use an elevator. Piper has a stimulator. You ever notice when you pull the yoke back on the Piper, the whole entire tail moves? Up and down like that?
Yeah, the
That's
Piper
a
is
flying
system.
stabulator. That's not an elevator, that's a stabulator. Understand? Yes, so it's a different.
It's maybe part of the reason why it doesn't want to recover by itself.
Because the Cessna 152 has the.
Yes, a
Elevator.
vertical and a horizontal stabilizer.
Vertical stabilizer and
and
horizontal
Also
elevator.
on Cessnas you have stabilizer with elevator. Stabilizer is stable.
Yeah,
Horizontal
with-
stabulator.
just,
Horizontal stabulator and elevator.
Mhm.
Vertical stabulator and rudder. Okay, that's
Mhm.
while the Piper has horizontal stabulator that the whole thing moves. It doesn't have an elevator.
Exactly.
The whole thing moves.
But the altitude you choose to spin,
Yes.
it depends on what?
It depends. It has to be three. You have to recover by 3,500 feet, 3,500 feet. You have to recover. So you're
AGL
gonna
or MSL?
AGL.
AGL.
So you're gonna go to 5,500 feet. You know, I usually do spins about 5,000 feet, maybe to 6,000 feet. I would say it's the safe altitude.
Yeah, I
You
like
have
it.
to recover the regulations. You have to
Yeah.
recover.
3,500.
3,500 AGL to recover?
Yep, 3,500 AGL to
The
recover.
recovery has to be over.
Completed. Just like Stoles and slow flight
Or 1,500,
1,500.
you have to be recovered. So you
Recover.
cannot start the
Actually,
maneuver. 35.
the altitude you choose actually depends on how many rotations you want to have.
Of course, yeah, of course. I mean, we started like 55 and we can complete about 12 turns before we hit 35. 12 turns, you get dizzy.
Yeah.
And when it's fully developed, it goes faster and faster and faster.
Yeah, and you have.
What do you think is the most dangerous situation once you enter a spin?
Uncoordinated controls, meaning you're not using rudder to the opposite direction, keeping the power in, gets you down faster.
Coordination,
Coordination, orientation, or knowing where the direction of the spin is. Because let's say you're spinning to the right and you are not pressing the correct, you're not doing the correct procedures. Let's say you get into a spin. You keep the power full for some reason. Maybe you kick the power full a little bit, and then you're spinning and you to the right and you're putting left aileron. There's no ailerons, they don't have control at this point except if you're in a cirrus. Just like David said. Or
No, even a serious. If you're going to spin, it's going to stay in a spin. Everything is stalled. It's just that in a stall itself, that's why I didn't mention spin. In a stall itself, the angle of attack of the outer 50% of the wing has a lower angle of attack. So in a stall, not a spin, in a stall,
yeah.
you can actually recover with aero control.
I gotcha.
It's built because of reflex reaction.
Yeah.
Common errors.
Common errors of human.
Yeah.
Because
One other
everything was
common error I
from-
didn't hear you mention in the spins.
That's all from the PTS.
Yeah, one other common error I didn't mention in the spin. I don't know if it's a common error, but a common error is once the spin is initiated accidentally,
Mhm.
you pull on the elevator. You pull back on the
I mentioned it,
elevator.
no?
You mentioned that
I
as a
think
common
so,
error or
yeah.
no?
Let me see.
You have to keep the elevator back during
No,
the spin.
No,
Absolutely
after
not.
you- after
You gotta
you-
rip the wings off.
No, back pressure, yeah.
Back pressure.
No, to enter.
Cessna
When you
150,
end-
150. Back pressure all
Yeah,
the
back
time.
pressure only, yeah.
When
back
you
pressure.
want to recover.
Then you release the back
Yeah.
pressure, yeah.
That's how you go?
Yeah, back pressure on the elevator, oh yeah.
Well, that's what we did on the 150.
And,
Yeah, 150 do the
Because
same thing.
if we weren't going to hold, then we would never get into stall.
Yeah,
So,
do the same thing.
No, I'm not talking entering the stall. I'm talking after you enter the spin.
Still back pressure,
Still
back
back-
pressure. Because when you let go, the back pressure
Still,
enters a
still,
spiral.
still,
It just
still.
kind of, yeah.
Okay.
It's a
And
spiral.
the weight and balance is very important.
that's, I mentioned it. I mentioned the
Yeah.
weight and balance and also the
What is the
Mine.
consequence?
She took my,
I mentioned it.
you mentioned weight and
Yeah,
balance?
I mean, I
Yeah,
know
what
about
is
it.
the
what did you
consequence
say
of the
about weight and
forward
balance?
Let me show you exactly what I read about weight and balance.
He was asking, how is it affecting?
The weight.
What is the consequences
Consequence
of the
of-
forward and afterward weighted aircraft?
Well, if it's forward,
Yeah.
the seat, if the CG is full, over the airplane we want to drop faster, and if it's too aft, it's going to be harder to break the stall. So that's what the.
What if it's incredibly aft and you enter a stall?
Mhm.
What will happen?
Oh, happen you will enter a spin and eventually.
You enter a spin down this way or a spin down this way?
Can I go this way?
Sure.
Never happened to me before.
I'm just asking.
Eventually the nose will drop.
It can spin backwards.
The spin, and then
Of
what?
course, yeah, I mean, look at that 747.
That's true.
Yeah.
Well,
You can spit flat. Like
You can have a flat
Yeah.
spin, that's also back CG, aft CG, you're flat. Now, look, spin the aircraft flat,
yeah.
you have no relative wind on the rudder itself,
Yeah.
so that you can't recover.
Then you screw.
You're done.
it's done. Yeah.
Just dead end.
However, aerobatic aircrafts like the
Jump out.
the extra aerobatic aircrafts like the extra 300,
Yeah.
they can actually do flat spins in it.
Uh-huh.
They do flat
What?
spins. They do flat spins.
Yeah.
In aerobatics,
Aerobatic,
they do
the
flat
extras.
spins. You actually see the aircraft flat like this.
Yeah,
and
but the
spin out.
recovery is with the power. It pushes
Yeah,
front
the blast
and
power.
it gains speed.
How they do it?
Actually,
now?
Prop,
gains relative
prop
wind.
wash.
How they do it?
You get pro-
The
prop.
blast the power fully. They get prop wash over the elevator, then they push the nose down. Then they enter a spin, then they recover back from a spin. You
And what
understand?
about
Yeah.
That's if you're in a flat spin.
By the slipstream.
This,
They get
the slipstream from proper
they get the elevator
Yes, so
active.
they can push the
so
nose
if it's
down.
a backspin, you're
No, blast spin your couples.
There's nothing
You're
you can
kaput.
do. The center of gravity
It's too aft.
is in the back.
is the back, yeah, so you kaput.
There's no,
And how hard is to get in this kind of spins?
nah, the center of gravity has to be completely
haven't-
outside the envelope.
It happened with a cargo
The 747,
to
but
shift.
well, what happened there? The
On
tanks
the
broke.
takeoff,
Yeah.
shifted to the back
Yeah.
and couldn't
Yeah,
recover.
that's the 747.
Remember
You
the
said
woman pilot,
Oh.
in US Airways,
That was it.
well,
into the hangar
When was that?
years ago.
Oh, years ago.
But there was one other one in
I have
Kabul.
the video.
Was it US Airways
I
Express?
think it
That
was
small
US Airways.
turboprop, right?
It was turbo.
In Charlotte, Beach 1900.
Charlotte.
Okay, I remember.
Oh, we've been there.
I remember that. Yeah. Yeah, I remember
We
that.
flew this airport.
I think so. Yeah.
The Charlotte?
Yeah. I think so. Yeah. We went on
Oh
that.
my God.
Yeah.
We
They
have to
got
stop.
into the
We have to
they
stop.
ended
Next
up.
time I wanna see
They
this,
ended up in the hangar.
Yeah, in the hangar. In the hangar.
She parked.
And what they discovered,
I don't know if it was a
they discovered
mechanical
that every passenger in the plane was overweighted.
Oh, okay, that was
They calculated the average,
Okay,
but
that's-
actually, the actual weight was
way in the back.
many more pounds
in the back.
more.
Ah.
And they had their cargo also was very heavy,
Uh-huh.
and they didn't secure it
So it
the
shifted.
right way. So it shifted and the passengers, the plane was totally out of the...
Way out of CG.
Yeah.
Relationship of various factors such as configuration, weight, center of gravity, control coordination to spins.
You mentioned that as you
In the commercial standards.
as you spoke it or read it, but you didn't really emphasize
You
it.
want me to-
It's very important, weight and balance, proper weight for utility category, and the center of gravity before you do
I
spin.
said about the utility
You
category.
did?
I said that make sure when you have an airplane it's within utility category.
Correct, yeah, I think,
Yeah.
You guys have any more questions?
Actually, it's not based on the category. Actually, the manufacturer has to say that it's approved or is not approved.
No, but when it
For
says
speed.
approved,
Correct, but if it's approved for spin, it has to be utility category, not normal.
Yeah, of course.
Like a
Yeah.
one.
Does it
Even
have to be
Even
utility?
if it's robotic category, maybe the company says it's not approved for speed.
yeah, of course,
Yeah.
of course. Specifically, the POH is supposed to say
You have
approved
to-
for spin.
And one more thing, it doesn't mention here, just make sure the plane is secure before we get into
Correct.
you don't have items free in the airplane. It's not mentioned.
Baggage compartment
Baggage
clear,
compartment
nothing,
clear,
yep.
One more thing I didn't see here, and I was surprised.
You guys have any more questions?
No, that's it.
Okay. I
Wanna
have a
stop it and
couple,
start again or no?
I have a couple of questions.
Wanna stop it and start again? For critique specifically?
I still have, questions, but, let's see.
Because this is just questions. The next part is critique.